I voted for Joe Biden, but I'm not impressed. I'm really not impressed. So the question I need to ask you is, am I being too harsh on Joe Biden? Or is everyone else lowering their standards too much?
Like, yes, he has actually overcome, and he's done some sort of battling when all he has done is constantly capitulate. He's sold out the working class. He didn't even get the $2,000 checks that were promised, the minimum wage increase. He hasn't gotten back in the Iran deal. Overseas, it's been a disaster. So, I mean, there's really not even a single thing to congratulate him for other than the fact that he wasn't just a buffoon like Donald Trump when handling the vaccine rollout.
So I'm not a Joe Biden fan. Don't really like the guy. Don't really think he should be president. I don't think he's really all that qualified for the job. I mean, he's good enough, certainly much better than the other option that we had at the time. We had much better options than Joe Biden, but thanks to mainstream media, they smeared and did their little tricks and convinced the American people that Joe Biden was the only way, right? So when it came time for me to vote, it was what I was left with. Now, in terms of what I expected from Joe Biden versus what has happened, I don't know, man. I mean, I didn't expect much from him, but I can't say that I feel like he's delivered what I expected or he's delivered more than what I expected. I don't get into the weeds like that. I voted for him knowing that he would be weak and inept as far as a president. I look at him now as a president and he's weak and inept. I know those are broad generalizations. And again, I don't get into the weeds because I don't think it really matters. The bottom line is this country needs bold action. We need bold movement forward. There's a lot of serious issues in this country that need to be addressed. And we don't need anything mild or middle of the fence or, trying to appease everyone. We need someone decisive, someone that is ready to fight and make things happen because we have a lot of problems in our government. We have a lot of people that are in their cushy little six-figure jobs and don't really want the boat rocked too much. They got a sweet deal. They're millionaires. They don't need some new president coming in and shaking things up like the way Trump pretended to do. And he did shake things up, but not quite in a productive manner. That being said,
he's better than Trump was an argument to vote for Joe Biden. But it was coupled with, but we're going to make sure that he's better, period, that we're going to push him left once he's elected. And what's so frustrating is seeing that he's better than Trump is still the bar by which he's being judged. No matter that we are in a post-pandemic America where 15 million people lost their employer-based health insurance because of unemployment. No matter that unemployment numbers are still incredibly high and Black unemployment numbers are even higher than that.
It is my view that people are making a very critical mistake. I feel, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, I feel that one of the primary reasons between the disconnect between how I look at Joe Biden as a voter of Joe Biden versus how a lot of people on the left are looking at Joe Biden. I think that they're falling for an old trick that has been around for decades where, if I offer you up for dinner a dead rat, a stinking dead rat, versus a steak that's been sitting on the counter, for a few days. That steak might look quite juicy in comparison. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would. If you were kidnapped or something and these were your two options, I mean, nothing wrong with the steak. It's a good steak. It has a nice flavor and everything, but it's been sitting on the counter for 3 days, right? On its own, it's disgusting, right? But if your only two choices are a dead rat and the steak for 3 days, I think in that situation, being kidnapped and starving, that steak might actually be a treat and enjoyable. And you might look at it and say, wow, that's actually better than I thought. I figured, 3-day-old steak is going to be really, really bad. But wow. You ever been super, super thirsty and then water just tastes so amazing to you? You ever had that before? And then it's almost like a drug, and you're just like drinking, and then you end up drinking too much, and you get a little bit bloated because you just drank too much water because you let yourself get to a point where you were so thirsty that you did that. That's how I think people look at Joe Biden. After 4 years of Donald Trump and the insanity and the chaos and back and forth, and of course the media fanning those flames, making it look, it was already horrendous as it is, right? The raw truth was horrendous. But the greedy media, that's not enough for them. They always have to push it to another level. Donald Trump is an agent working for Russia. They got to go all in, right? How much money can we juice out of this story? But after 4 years of that, people look at Joe Biden and it's like, he's not tweeting all the time and all this craziness, and every day it's a different scandal. And they make a comparison and they're like, wow, Joe Biden is actually... And the other thing is, I think Republicans are actually helping. They helped actually to get Americans to where they're at right now. Because the Republicans spent all this time trying to attack Joe Biden, and he's a socialist this, and he's an old man, and he's losing his mind, and the country's gonna burn if he gets elected, and blah, blah, blah. All this kind of fear-mongering. So you got all that. That's the tone that's being set. Joe Biden is horrible, horrible, horrible. And then people who voted for him may not necessarily have liked him, and they're just kind of like, I can't have Trump, so I'm just gonna take that guy. And then he gets elected, and he does anything at all. Anything at all productive. And he's not Trump doing all the stuff that Trump was doing. And it's like, Joe Biden's not bad at all. I'm not impressed. I don't see it. I can see people saying that, he's doing a decent job or something like that. But when I hear people using words like excellent and making comparisons of him to, previous great leaders, or just really, really, giving these excessive compliments.
They had the vote or die t-shirts. And it's like every election, it's a message of fear. It's like, meaningful change can wait until next time. We just got to get the Republicans out, or, just you have to hold your nose and vote for the lesser of two evils. And, when I actually started to kind of, unpack this corrupt political system and see that both parties are actually bought and paid for by the exact same corporate donors, and these giant corporations in the billionaire class, they've hedged their bets. So it doesn't matter, who wins every 4 years, because they own both parties. So whichever party wins, the corporations wins.
I think the biggest compliment is that he's not a disaster completely. His border policy leaves a little bit to be desired, but I would not describe anything that he's doing as excellent. And to people who think he's doing a great job and maybe think I'm being a little bit too hard on him, I would like to ask you a question. Comment below. Seriously answer this question. What would it look like for Joe Biden to be a weak president that just kind of like unimpressive, doesn't really do anything? What would that look like realistically? And when you think about that question, think about previous presidents, excluding Donald Trump, and make a comparison to them. Maybe even pick a president and say if he was like ex-president, right? Was there a president that we had previously that kind of was just useless? That didn't really, you know what I mean? Like the weak idea that I have of Biden. If you disagree with me, tell me what would it look like if Joe Biden just did the bare minimum, didn't really fight for anything. He just wasn't Trump. Like, what would that look like? Because that's how I'm viewing it. But if I'm wrong on that, then correct me and tell me what condition would warrant that kind of perspective. If this stuff was new, I could have a better understanding of it. But this is something that's been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades. The empty promises, the platitudes. I don't know. It's like, I feel like in this country, we're in a hamster wheel. We keep getting the same thing over and over again, and yet people still fall for it. Change is coming. Hope is coming, right? Big talk. Little on the action. People look at the bills that Biden has passed. Okay, so he passed the bill. Have any presidents ever went through their presidency and not passed any bills? Is that's the standard of like excellence? Oh, he passed a bill. Oh, it's a big bill. They've got the Senate majority. I think the least they could do is pass some bills. Then this idea of the $15 minimum wage, it's coming. He just needs time. He just started. Okay. Again, if this was new, I can understand. So many times we've had broken promises. People say they're going to do stuff and they don't do stuff. And now we have a scenario where things were primed for him to do a lot of things that were pretty easy, in my view, to do. $15 minimum wage, for example. You've got the Senate majority. He has the power to make it happen if he wants to. He has the chaos of the pandemic where people are just it's a desperation and people are in crisis. That is the perfect moment to make that happen, and we have the power to make it happen. It is ridiculous that people honestly think that if he wouldn't do it now, he's going to do it later when the economy is going great and things are, well, I say great, you know what I mean? The stock market's doing great. When things are much better and people are less focused on the crisis, and then they're looking at potentially losing the majority. They're looking at potentially losing the majority, and in that moment, they're going to go and try to shake things up and try to push for some $15 minimum wage that people aren't really thinking about anymore. What kind of logic makes that make sense where a president would have the power and the means and the opportunity of this pandemic to deliver on a promise that he claimed he was going to deliver for us, right? Think about it. Put yourself in Joe Biden's shoes. You said you're going to give us $15 minimum wage, right? You got the majority. You're in power. The nation's in crisis. It has a huge amount of support. And from my understanding, across the board, it's not even just on the left, right? The people have spoken, and I think there's a lot of support for minimum wage. So why wasn't it done? And if it's not done now, it is absolutely absurd to suggest that he's going to do it later. If he does it later, that will be the time when I will be finally surprised about Joe Biden. Like, wow, I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming. But at this moment, I see Joe Biden as what I've always seen him as. Weak, inept, part of the establishment. He's been in government for decades. You think all of a sudden now he's a late bloomer? Yes, he's not Trump. Yes, he's accomplished some things. More than a few. But he's no fighter. And he's not delivering on his promises. $15 minimum wage. Expansion of Medicare. College forgiveness. The most important thing is he's not fighting for it. That's a key detail. It's not like he's out there fighting and every day he's on TV saying, listen, we got to make this happen. Da, da, da. And then he's getting pushed back from Pelosi saying, no. And he's coming back, no, I'm not backing down. I want this $15. I want the college forgiveness. He's not even talking about it. Maybe I'm just too harsh on Joe Biden. Maybe on this issue, I'm the one who's biased. Even though I voted for him, I just don't like the man. I think he did some things to Tara Reade that he shouldn't have. Is that what it is? Is that what the problem is? I can't see through my disgust of Joe Biden, who I voted for, to recognize how great he is and how progressive he is. Is that what it is? Am I the one who's blind? Because I sure see a lot of Democratic politicians and folks on the left saying all these great things about Joe Biden. See how much those great things work out for you during the midterms. During the next presidential election, let's reflect on how great Joe Biden is. How great he's been. I'll wait. This is Debate Me channel, Debate Me comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell, be well. If you enjoy this kind of content, you know what to do. Yep.